folks, welcome to the channel. I'm Don. This is Rockin' a Country, where I react to non-pop country music. That could be bluegrass, western, folk, Cajun. That's all under the country umbrella as far as I'm concerned. It just can't be pop. And Kyle Perkins made a gift to the channel for me to do this song, and I don't know this song. I may have done one or two songs of Clay's a while ago. This one is titled A Few Questions. This is right up my alley because I'm very comfortable with questions. We are literally schooled in first world countries, certainly America, in the education system to get answers. And it's all about getting answers. Get the right answer. Maybe you get an 85 on a test out of 100 questions. You get 85 right, but you want to look at the ones you got wrong. And so you could, correct it, learn it, and all that. But it's about getting answers. We're not comfortable with questions. Not nearly as comfortable with them. I am. I love questions, and they just show the thought is being given, and the dynamic of life is so expansive that having questions it can lead to finding more information out about things. But I don't know what Clay is going to do with a few questions. This could be in the context of a relationship, of his childhood upbringing, of all of it. But we're going to find out. Kyle, thank you for this gift, my friend. Yeah, I'm already, you guys are sort of figuring me out in ways. Like, I'm a philosopher at heart, and philosophy is about questions and being comfortable with them, but also trying to find some degree of verification, or satisfactory answers or probable answers to some of the quandaries that we've got. But let's see what we have here. Boop. Oh, it's poignant, as you might expect. I can see Reba singing this for this intro.
How in this world can we put a man on the moon and still have a need for a place like St. Jude's? And why is one man born in a place where all they know is war, and a guy like me has always been free?
Yeah.
And how can two people who built a loving home try for years and never have a child of their own, when somewhere out there tonight there's a baby no one's holding tight, in need of love? To me that don't add up. But I wasn't there the day you filled up the oceans. I didn't get to see you hang the stars in the sky, so I don't mean to second guess you or criticize what I don't understand.
I think that's one of the great palace lies that those folks who are spiritually minded, who believe in God and the biblical account of Genesis and all that you question it, that you question God. I think it is I don't know where that got learned. I think the idea is, as Anne Lamott put it about God, that many people have about God. I used to have this about God. Now I have very different views. But Anne Lamott is sort of depicted God, like many people have this depiction of God as like your high school principal in a gray suit unhappily rifling through your files. And it's like, yeah, we kind of think that, oh, if there's anything wrong, I'm going to get hammered. But if you believe the narrative, some of the narrative in the Bible anyway, like God is love. I'm not saying that I believe this. I'm saying that's according to the narrative. So if you're going according to that, then that sort of being would not be looking to hammer you. I think he, she, it, however you depict the supreme being and creator of the universe, can handle a few questions or doubts. Your own children have that, and you don't kick them in the head. So, I just think that it's perfectly okay. Where he said in here, I don't mean to second guess you. It's like, go ahead. if there's an answer waiting for you, you'll get it. Hopefully. Maybe not, but hopefully.
These are just a few questions I have. And why did my cousin have to die in that crash? A good kid, only 17, I still wonder about that. It seems unfair to me. Some get the chance to chase their dreams, and some don't. But what do I know? I wasn't there the day you filled up the ocean. I didn't get to see you hang the stars in the sky. So I don't mean to second guess you or criticize what I don't understand. These are just a few questions I have.
Interesting, the waterfall. That's a good shot.
Why do I feel like you hear these prayers of mine when so many ought to be ahead of me in line?
Interesting thought there.
When you look down on me, can you see the good through all the bad?
I would imagine so.
These are just a few questions I have.
Surprised we didn't hear a piano in there. Hey, they're questions a lot of people have, and it starts with the idea that God is in control. And that is taught in many places. It's believed by some, or at least espoused by some. And then you see, like, it goes like a Time magazine had a cover decades ago that just was very simple cover, and it's I'm going to get real close to what it said, but it said, God is all powerful, God is good, evil exists, the theologian's problem. And it is a problem, it is a question, because they are discordant, and that's why people say, look, it's a mystery, we don't know, we can't explain it, you just have to take it on faith, which is another way of saying you just have to suspend your reason. And I don't think that way. I don't. I think that if my reason, my rationale, what I see, what I experience, when I try to put the pieces together, I want things to not contradict one another. So I think these are legitimate questions. And my answer to that is the dynamic of life is far more, as I even said in the beginning, life is dynamic. And maybe God's not in control, right? If you believe in God, I believe in a creator. I think it just makes sense to me. The biblical accounts used to make, yeah, they used to make sense. I believe them for probably 10 or 15 years, very hardcore. I ran in a very fundamentalist Christian circle, a couple of circles, I guess you'd call it. But they became oppressive and you couldn't ask questions. And I was like, wait a minute, I just have to take everything you say as gospel, so to speak, as truth, and not ask questions, not even doubting, just saying, how do we explain this? And they would get all uppity on me. And I'm like, look, my brain works every bit as well as yours does, maybe better, maybe whatever, but we agree to talk with one another. That's how it works. But trying to figure out why we're here, what the purpose is, what happens after we die, all this. There are divergent views, and I think we can respect one another. Like, I respect other people's views. I don't have an issue at all if somebody's views differ from mine, because I'll handle my own questions and doubts, and I'll listen to somebody's ideas. And if they make more sense than mine, I'll go with yours. I don't have to be the originator of any idea that I hold. So, but it has to pass mustard, so to speak. It's got to be somewhat reasonable. And I think it's fair to have the questions that we're posed in here, and they come from a place of compassion. Why did my cousin have to die in the car crash? Why are people born in war-torn countries and that's all they know, whereas I've only known relative freedom? Good questions. I think if we jettison the idea that God is in control, things start to make a lot more sense. But then that opens up this sort of scary pantheon or panorama even of ideas and views that suddenly show that things aren't the way we might want them to be, nice and tidy. It's a lot messier. And I'm extremely comfortable in that space and, explaining it to myself and even to others who want explanations or possible explanations that they can do what they want with. They can say, that doesn't work for me, or it does, or borrow parts of what I've, come up with. But I think as a matter of humanity, even according to the biblical narrative, you're allowed to have questions. People question God all the time, even according to the biblical record. Sodom and Gomorrah and so on. And even look at Jesus in the garden, Gethsemane, when he was praying right before he was going to be arrested and crucified. He's like, God, if there's any way, if there's any other way that this cup could pass from me. And it says that he was sweating as though it were great drops of blood. I mean, he was that intense. He didn't want to go to the cross. And he's like, if there's any other way. So it's, people negotiated as you might. And if you are, if the God of the Bible exists the way he is depicted in the Bible, and you are fortunate enough to get a direct answer, one that you're satisfied with, wonderful. Otherwise, we are left with questions. That's what it is to be human. And that's why we need each other. And that's why kindness and consideration work. I hate war, but I mean, the world is spinning in such a way that nations no longer trust one another, no longer like one another, and cultures exist and prejudices exist. And you don't know what the other guy's thinking, so you sort of back off a little bit. All these things come into play, but I'm not going to rate this one, Kyle. I think you probably suspected I might not rate it. It's a spiritually minded song, and I generally leave them alone, but I do like the questions. As human beings, we are allowed to have questions. That's how it works. Why? WHY. That is a huge question. Kids start asking that from a very young age. And as parents, we try to give them answers. But there's no reason to think that just because we turn 15 or 20 or 25 or 30 or 40 or 80 years old that we should not have questions any longer. And it is a sign of respect to ask the one that you believe to be the supreme being, that we normally call God, that you would ask that of him, or if you believe God is female, and her, or neither, it's a sign of respect to go to that source and hope you get an answer. So anyway, all right, guys, you can thank Kyle Perkins for that. Look at the can of worms we may have opened. All right, folks, have a great day. See you on another video and keep rocking the country.